Hi everyone, Gamers Khan here, and this is my review of The Rune King, a League of Legends story. One thing about this review is that I am assuming that you guys know about Battle Chaser Nightwar, which is the direct predecessor to this game, and I will be heavily comparing the two because I really enjoyed Battle Chaser, and I was expecting Battle Chaser 2, but instead I got this game. For those of you who don't know, Battle Chaser Nightwar is a creation of the legendary comic book artist turned video game developer Joe Mad and his studio Airship Syndicate, and is based on his comic books of the same name. Ruin King is basically the same game as Battle Chaser Nightwar with a lot of quality of life improvements, but with a League of Legends skin, and there's nothing wrong with that. So let's start off with the first thing that I really liked about Ruin King, the design and art style. I really like Battle Chasers for the art style, and I'm glad it was carried over to Ruin King. The expansive environments and the sheer variety of enemies in Ruin King is a massive upgrade from Battle Chasers. Environments especially, because Battle Chaser environments were mostly randomly generated and they felt like this hodgepodge of randomly connected tiles. Ruin King environments are more fleshed out and look absolutely stunning. Bilgewater is absolutely brimming with life and feels like a proper city, an aspect that was completely absent from Battle Chasers, where most areas just felt very empty and lifeless. However, there is a place where Rune King falls behind, and that's the cutscenes. Now, I should preface this video by saying that one of the things I value a lot in games is art style. I don't like realistic looking games, and that's just my personal preference. I like games that have this comic book, western or cartoon art style, and I also like anime art style, but as long as it's in the vein of something like Guilty Gear, like Guilty Gear Strive or Guilty Gear Xrd. Those are that kind of art style looks cool. I don't like stuff that looks more generic anime art style. I think that's very boring and like Melty Blood and stuff like that. So my enjoyment of a game is heavily influenced by art style, and Joe Mad's art style is one of my favorite art styles and looks in any sort of medium, whether it be comic book or video games. And it's the number one reason why I've purchased every single game he has worked on. So as long as he designs it, I will buy it. That said, outside of the character stills during the conversations in Rune King, I don't think so. Joe Mad has worked on anything else in the game. It's super obvious in the cutscene where all the characters have this egghead like design, and it's clearly not Joe's design. At first, I thought it might be because in the Battle Chaser comics, whenever he does flashbacks or any sort of throwbacks, he does design them different than what the rest of the comic book looks like. But it is closer to looking like anime design than it is to whatever this Ruin King egg shaped thing is going on. You can really see that it wasn't Joe Mad that designed the cutscene when you compare Night Wars cutscene side by side with Ruin King's cutscene. Joe's design has some of that round looking aspect, but it's mostly limited to Gully. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but it's just a minor pet peeve of mine. In the grand design of the game, it's a very small issue. Character looks in game are still on par with Battle Chaser. They look very good in motion. Most of their animation are absolutely stunning, except for a few characters. Some of the characters' animation don't feel as powerful or impactful when you use them. For example, Yasuo's Raging Wind is a one-to-one copy of Garrison's Berserk, but Garrison's Berserk actually feels really good to use. It feels fast, it feels powerful and violent, whereas Yasuo's Raging Wind is very lackluster. It doesn't feel like his blows have any power or speed behind them, and it contradicts his entire swift as a wind archetype because it's so slow. It takes forever for him to complete the animation for it, whereas Garrison Berserk, he just goes berserk. It's like slash, kill, and it does similar. It does way more damage than Yasuo's Raging Wind. Similarly, Ari move animations feel like she was put together at the last minute. If you compare her to other characters like Braum and Miss Fortune, their animations are crisp. Braum's animations feel powerful. It conveys his inhuman strength better than anything. Like the impact of all his ability and the explosion and the sound design, everything works really well. Same with Miss Fortune, just like her gunslinging aspect and the power of her guns come through perfectly. Ari, on the other hand, all of her animations are just very simplified. It seems like they were running out of time and they have to put together her animation. There's no visual effects to her magic. The Foxfire orbs, which are a big thing in the League games, and you can see them spinning around her. The fact that they just show up as a small icon on her lower bar, that's pretty disappointing. Like, whenever I should use these Foxfire orbs, they should show up on her character models floating around her and then hit the enemy. Half the time when I use the Foxfire orbs, I have no idea when they were activated or when they attacked who, you know? So sometimes their damage and their effect damage just blurs in with any damage over time effects that you have on the enemy. So you never know when they even activate or they attack. So yeah, this it's unfortunate. It's minor. A lot of other characters do move really well. They look really good, but there are some areas that are just kind of like meh. So I really like this game, but unlike Battle Chasers, I don't think so. I will be playing this game again, and here's the reason why. It comes down to gameplay, and in my opinion, the replayability of RPGs comes from a diverse skill tree, diverse in-depth skill tree. For me, an RPG must have a skill tree that allows you to experiment and customize your character in multiple and viable different ways. This allows you to build the same character many different ways and experience a game completely differently with each build. And that's where the replayability comes from. Battle Chaser did this really well. Red Monica, for instance, you can play her multiple different ways and each require different strategies and team comps. You can base her around her stealth and ambush abilities, which require a little bit of setup but leads to enormous payoffs. You can build her to be raw in your face damage with Executioner and Swift Kill, or you can build her to be an off tank with Distraction Shot and Evasion build. Nolan can be played as an ice, fire, arcane, or healer mage, each having its own distinct advantages and weaknesses. Up till recently, I thought there was only one way to play Garrison, but I recently discovered you can build him a bit tanky, invest in Bleed and Siphon, and turn him into a damage over time slash buffer type character, and it works really well when you're trying to run double damage dealers in New Game Plus. So every time I replay Battle Chaser, I would rebuild my characters completely different, and it will always yield a completely unique gameplay experience. The skill tree in Ruin King feels like it's a step back from Battle Chasers. In Battle Chasers, I never felt like my build was ever complete, and there was always room to experiment and optimize. In this game, I feel like the character builds are complete by the time you hit level 20 to 23-ish. Every skill and rune point after that feels very insignificant to the whole character's development. In Battle Chasers, farming for perks was absolutely crucial, whereas farming for ruins in this game is kind of pointless. You don't need more than 9 to 12 ruins to flesh out your character. Every point after that is whatever. For example, once I got 3 points into Miss Fortune's Shredder ability, it started to feel like all her other abilities were just a waste of time and effort. Pike, in theory, can be built multiple ways. He can be, in theory, be built to play around either stealth and ambush, or around his executioner stack, or around applying damage over time debuffs. However, by level 23, you realize that he is already doing all three of these things simultaneously. Ilaoi is a prime candidate for a versatile character, in the sense her design allows her to be a healer, a damage dealer, or a tank. But by level 23, you realize that she sucks at all three. The simplified skill tree in this game kinda kills the depth and replayability. Now, I know there is something to be said about having simpler skill trees. Path of the Exile, for instance. The skill tree in that game is unnecessarily convoluted and complex. Every 9 of 10 points you spend in that skill tree feel like just filler points with no real consequences in the game, whereas in Rune King, every point you get has the potential to completely change a fight's dynamics. I believe the best RPGs find a happy medium between an in-depth skill tree and easy to access skill trees. However, Ruin King does lean a little too heavily on the simplicity side, and that is unfortunate. It's never fun to feel like there's no more room to experiment with your character or to come up with some unique build that you were inspired by. Like, one thing I love to do in any RPG that has dwarves is I like slayers from the Warhammer universe. Anytime I have a dwarven character, I try to use the builds, the skills, and the items to create slayers in the game. You can't do that when you have a very simplified skill tree. I know I'm not going to be coming back to this game after I'm done. Even in Heroic, I was started the Heroic campaign, and I was going to put up videos of my Heroic run, but halfway through, I realized I'm gonna build these characters exactly the same as I did when I was running it on veteran difficulty, and that's just not fun. There are other things that I like about the Ruin King that it did better than in Battle Chaser. For instance, they turned down the level difference bonus that you get in this game compared to Battle Chasers. The biggest flaw of Battle Chaser is that if you get as few as 2 levels on your enemy, you can simply steamroll them regardless of your gear because of the massive bonuses you get from the level difference. You could overcome bad gear drops by simply grinding for some XP. Those higher level bonuses in Ruin King have been turned down quite a bit. A simple 2 or 3 level advantage does not guarantee a win in Ruin King, and that's a good thing. Battle Chaser, the level advantage bonuses made most crafting and enchanting pointless. You would just outscale the enemy with just level, and you didn't really invest into crafting or enchanting early on or even mid game because it just didn't amount to anything because you would just outlevel the character and just destroy the dungeon with that. The other thing is gear and crafting issues are pretty similar in both games. In both games, the second you enchant an item, you get a new one that's better than the one you got last time. And it's kind of frustrating at times. The only thing about the crafting system that I like better in Ruin King over Battle Chaser is the ability to upgrade your gear. So you can get a green drop with the right stats that you want, and you can upgrade it all the way up to blue or purple. So you can go from a rare drop and turn it into an epic drop. I like that. I wish a lot more RPGs did that. There are RPGs that out there that do that, but not enough of them. So yeah, that was basically my review of the game. It was more of a rant than a review, I guess. But yeah, I had quite a few issues with Ruin King. I don't believe in a rating system because I believe they're kind of abstract and meaningless. So instead, I will assign feelings to the game. And the feeling I get from Ruin King is that it's a good game that I will play once and then forget about. And that I should have waited for a sale before buying it. Whereas Battle Chasers, I get the feeling that every 2 or 3 years, I will get the urge to install it again and play through it with a completely different off meta build and have fun. That's the feeling I get with Battle Chasers compared to Ruin King. So yeah, I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. But that's how I feel about the games. And hopefully that's helpful to you guys in helping you make the decision whether you want to buy this game or not. In any case, if you liked the review or didn't like the review, let me know in the comment section below. I'll see y'all next time. Take care. Bye.